Have you ever wondered what really happened in Sodom? Was it merely a city of sin, punished by fire from heaven? Or is there something far deeper, far more disturbing, hidden beneath the ashes? In this video, we're going to uncover the secrets that have been buried for millennia, secrets that go far beyond what most Sunday sermons dare to explore. What if the destruction of Sodom wasn't just divine judgment, but a cosmic warning for all generations? What if there were forces involved that we're only beginning to understand? Stay with us until the end of this video as we dive into ancient texts, prophetic symbolism, and forbidden truths that could change your entire understanding of biblical justice. And if you're passionate about uncovering the mysteries of Scripture, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who's ready for the truth. Let's begin. Before Sodom became a symbol of sin and divine wrath, it was a city of unimaginable wealth and prosperity. The Bible describes it as a paradise on earth, lush, fertile, and breathtakingly beautiful. In Genesis 13:10, it is written, "Lot looked around and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan toward Zoar was well watered, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt." This was no wasteland. Sodom was the jewel of the Jordan Valley. But prosperity, as history has often shown, comes with a hidden price. With abundance came arrogance. With power came perversion. The people of Sodom began to believe they were untouchable, immune to the moral laws that govern the universe. Their wealth bred pride, and their pride bred corruption. Ancient Jewish texts, such as the Book of Jasher, reveal a society that didn't just indulge in immorality, but institutionalized it. Travelers were routinely abused. Acts of charity were criminalized. Hospitality, once a sacred tradition in ancient Semitic culture, was considered a punishable offense. One story tells of a young girl who secretly fed a beggar in the street, only to be executed by being smeared with honey and left to die under the blazing sun, covered in stinging insects. This is the hidden darkness of Sodom, a society where the vulnerable were exploited, where cruelty was normalized, and where God's presence was not only unwelcome, it was despised. And yet, the corruption wasn't merely social or political. It was spiritual. According to Ezekiel 16:49-50, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore I did away with them, as you have seen." These verses reveal a deeper truth. Sodom's destruction wasn't solely about sexual immorality, as often preached. It was about spiritual rebellion, a total rejection of divine justice and mercy. The city had become a place where evil wasn't hidden, it was celebrated. Lot, Abraham's nephew, was the only righteous man in the region. He chose to live in Sodom, perhaps drawn by its wealth and opportunities. But even Lot, over time, began to compromise. He sat at the gate of the city, a position of influence, possibly of governance. His presence there was not just geographical, it was spiritual. Lot had become entangled with the very society he knew was corrupt. So when two strangers, angels in human form, entered the city, something seismic was set in motion. They weren't just guests. They were divine messengers, sent not only to rescue Lot, but to evaluate the city firsthand. What happened next would mark one of the most terrifying nights in biblical history. Genesis 19 paints the terrifying scene. The two angels arrive and are immediately greeted by Lot, who insists they stay in his home. He knows the dangers of the city. He knows what happens to strangers in Sodom. And yet, despite his warnings, the men of the city gather outside his house that very night, demanding that Lot hand over the visitors to them. This is not merely a demand rooted in sexual depravity. It's a symbolic act, a public declaration that no divine presence, no holiness will be tolerated. The men of Sodom sought to defile the sacred. Their violence wasn't just physical, it was spiritual warfare against the representatives of God. Lot, in a shocking moment of desperation, offers his virgin daughters to the mob instead. Many have struggled to understand this passage. Why would a father make such a horrific offer? The answer may lie in the cultural values of the time, where hospitality and protection of guests were paramount. But it also reflects how deeply Lot had been shaped by Sodom's twisted morality. He was willing to sacrifice his own blood to appease a godless crowd. But the angels intervened. They struck the men with blindness, a powerful metaphor. The crowd, already spiritually blind, was now physically incapacitated. They groped in the dark, unable to find the door. It was more than punishment, it was a divine statement. Those who walk in darkness will ultimately be consumed by it. The angels revealed their true purpose. Sodom's judgment was sealed. Lot was told to flee with his family and not to look back. The urgency was overwhelming. The sun had not yet risen, but already the shadow of destruction loomed. As dawn approached, fire and brimstone rained down from the sky. The entire valley was engulfed in flames, cities, homes, families, obliterated in an instant. The earth trembled, the sky turned red, smoke rose like the plume of a furnace. And then came one of the most haunting moments in all of Scripture. Lot's wife looked back. She turned to gaze upon the city she had once called home, and in that moment she became a pillar of salt. Scholars have debated this act for centuries. Was it curiosity, nostalgia, regret? Whatever her reason, it revealed a heart still tied to a condemned place. Lot's escape wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. He had to leave behind not only a city, but a way of life. He had to let go of everything that tied him to the values of Sodom. Meanwhile, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah became a smoldering wasteland. But their story didn't end there. For centuries, the story of Sodom has echoed as a divine warning. But what if there's more to the destruction than ancient fire and brimstone? What if the event itself carried cosmic, even prophetic significance? Many archaeologists believe that the destruction of Sodom may have been caused by a catastrophic event, possibly a meteor explosion similar to the Tunguska event in Siberia. In 2021, a team of researchers published findings that a site near the Dead Sea, called Tal el-Hammam, showed signs of intense heat and shock waves consistent with an airburst. Bricks were melted, pottery was vaporized, human remains were scattered, many blown apart. Could this be the physical evidence of the biblical account? Regardless of the method, the message remains the same. God does not overlook injustice forever. Sodom's fall was a loud, unmistakable cry across the ages. It warned future generations of what happens when society turns its back on compassion, justice, and truth. Jesus himself referred to Sodom. In Matthew 10:15, he said, "Truly I tell you, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town." He wasn't just speaking historically, he was using Sodom as a spiritual benchmark, a symbol of the worst kind of rebellion. The Apostle Peter also echoed this warning in 2 Peter 2:6. If he condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah by burning them to ashes and made them an example of what is going to happen to the ungodly. But here's the twist. Grace is always present. Even in the midst of judgment, God offered a way out. Lot was rescued. His family was spared. The angels came not only to condemn, but to deliver. The message of Sodom isn't just about wrath. It's about choice. Every generation stands at a crossroads. Will we build a culture that mirrors Sodom's pride and cruelty, or one that reflects God's mercy and justice? In today's world, where moral lines are blurred and compassion is often seen as weakness, the story of Sodom is more relevant than ever. It challenges us to examine our own lives, our own societies. Are we turning into modern Sodoms? The ruins of those ancient cities lie buried beneath the salty earth, but their message remains alive, etched into the fabric of sacred scripture and human conscience. Sodom's destruction was more than a historical event. It was a mirror held up to humanity's darkest potential. It challenges us to look beyond surface-level morality and into the deep sickness of the soul. The arrogance, indifference, and hatred that infected that ancient city are still alive in different forms today. Let this be a wake-up call, not just a story from the past, but a warning for our present. If this message stirred something in you, subscribe for more biblical revelations, like and share this video so others can also uncover the truths hidden in plain sight. And now, the question remains, if Sodom were to rise again, would we recognize it before it was too late?